Hey everybody, welcome to the weekly Unreal Engine Twitch live stream. We are here with Francois Antoine and Alexander Pascal. If you haven't noticed, today we dropped a very large piece of content out to everybody that you've been asking for quite some time, and we're just super stoked to get it out the door. That would be Infiltrator. So Francois has agreed to come on today and chat through some of the VFX work that he did for it. We originally had Wyatt on as well, but he had to bow out last minute, so we'll probably try to grab him at some point too and talk through some of the other tech art things that went into it. We're really excited to be able to get this in the hands of you guys for free, and yeah, as always, feel free to use them all for pretty much anything you want to at this point in your Unreal Engine project. So with that, let's hop over to the news, Shelly. All right, earlier this week we had 4.91 come out with a number of fixes. There is a forum post up by Stephen Ellis, our great and wonderful support lead. There's all kinds of little things in here that you might have noticed in 4.9 that we've got, and so I would definitely recommend downloading it and using it moving forward, because there's some really great things in here. So it's on the launcher right now. You can go check it out. Head over to the forums and find out what's in it. And as always, keep feedback heading our way about what you're finding in the engine. We're trying to take and triage everything we can from you guys and roll it onto things. So, yay, 491. And next up, we have just a quick announcement on the Epic Mega Jam. Last week, we announced this as a new event we're going to do in celebration of 1 year of the Unreal Engine Game Jams. This one we're blowing up a little bit bigger. It's going to go for an entire week. So on October 28th, we're kicking it off, and then in a week after that, on the live stream, we'll actually have a death clock that'll shut down, and we'll stop taking submissions at that time. But we're giving you about twice as much time this time to complete an incredible game in the engine. There's a couple of different differences in the rules, and so I definitely head over to the thread and read those. But it's nothing too spectacular, just some like minimum requirements. Because there's even more that we're going to announce for this as far as prizes and sponsors goes. And on that note, our very first sponsor is announced today, and that would be Algorithmics. They're tossing some Substance Live licenses to their own awards category. So I was chatting with the team earlier today, and it sounds like will probably be Wes McDermott, who we've had on the stream here, judging entries alongside with us for those categories specifically. So we're really stoked to have them on with us as well. Here we go, Algorithmic Awards and their picks. Really stoked to have them on here. So yeah, bigger prizes, more things, more winners. We can't wait to see what you all come together to create. Next week, we're going to be announcing the second question mark on there, so keep an eye on the forums.
Wow, just keeps getting bigger and better.
Yeah, and also, real quick, I didn't have this on the notes, but I'm going to go ahead and pull this up too. I actually started a thread here just for you to team up if you want to. We saw in both September and in the Epic Mega Jam thread, people are just saying, hey, I'm an artist looking for a coder, or I'm a designer, I can do this and that, I'm good at blueprints, I need somebody that can help me texture, whatever that looks like, right? If you want to come together and organize somewhere, this is a place for you to come do that. So if we can help in any other way to help you find teams, let us know, but this is our first shot at that. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. Cannot wait. All right, marketplace sale. I know there's only a couple more days left in the week, but this one came out a little earlier, so I figured I'd just go ahead and mention it and see if we can at least bring some light to it before it's all over. There's this is marketplace spotlight creator sale for Pure Polygons, so specific on the Pure Polygons packs. Anyway, if you've been holding out on any of these, as always, now's the time to go pick them up. That modular building set is bad.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's so good. Very, very, very useful. And those aren't snakes, so they look like it from there, but then we come down here, hoses for all your hose needs.
Anyway. You just need to change out the end piece, and now we can have instant snakes. It'll be great.
Pretty much. Put that on the spline tool and just have
go
nuts, right? Anyway, so cool stuff from Pure Polygons. Definitely check it out. And other Game Jam news. It's funny. This was brought to my attention by Andrew earlier. Unbox showed up during the What's in the Box Game Jam in December. So basically we had What's in the Box was like, Christmas, Play on Christmas, right? And this was a game that was essentially you're a box in a factory and you're bouncing around and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. Well, they've actually taken the game in the last 6 months and put it on Greenlight. So I would definitely go check it out. Playing the old Game Jam submission, I think you can still pull it from the forums, was even a lot of fun back then. And this has kind of got that just kind of like silly, almost Goat Simulator type, attractive nature to it. So I would definitely go take a look at it. It's awesome. And I mentioned it last week, but since it's tomorrow, I wanted to bring it up one more time in case you forgot. I know there's a number of you out there that are in the Netherlands right now or in the area. There is a VR meetup that is tomorrow in a city that I cannot pronounce, so I'm not going to try. But it's at 6 p.m. Friday, September 18th. All the information is on the forums right now that Dana posted, and there's like, meetup where you can go RSVP. If you can make it, I truly suggest that you do so. It seems like you'll be able to get your hands on some really great VR content, which is always a good time. So take a look out for that. And news, Infiltrator's released for free. If you didn't know already, and if you didn't read anything, and you've been just kind of hiding from the internet, and you just happened to show up today and didn't even read the notification that came across. Following Showdown and the Infinity Blade collections, we have also released Infiltrator. So there are all these assets that are now available for you to pull down the entire project. Francois is going to walk through a couple little things here in a bit inside the project in the matinee, but you can see how the whole thing was set up. You can use these assets in your UE4 projects. And it's funny, we launched the Game Jam last week with the Infinity Blade pack, and so many of those assets ended up in the games, and it's like, wow, it's really amazing what you can use. Just these can get you so far where you can actually build something interactive and enjoyable in just a couple of days.
They can grab the Death Blossom, which is cool.
Yeah,
Giant robots, so much detail in there.
Yeah, I know. That's
so cool.
Pretty crazy. We should have a Death Blossom jam. It's just like, what's the craziest thing you can do with this? It could be the boy just chasing him around.
We're using it on that other project I can't talk about.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's definitely got some use.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, definitely pull up Infiltrator. And then just real quick on Infiltrator news while we're there. Shelly, can you flip over to that quick short video?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for UT, yeah.
Yep.
So UT is having a big event this weekend. They're inviting a whole bunch of professional players out to play UT in a gigantic tournament. They'll be streaming over Twitch and on YouTube, and you can see here in the video, the Infiltrator mask.
Yep.
So anybody that plays UT over the weekend will get the entitlement for the Infiltrator mask on their UT account. So I'm going to be playing. Alexander and I were talking about this with Stacy right beforehand.
I really want to play.
We're both going to be checking it out. Yeah, they'll be streaming it both on Twitch and on YouTube, so you can follow it along. There's a lot of really great things coming out of that event. I wish I could be here on site to partake, but
I know a lot of the support guys are excited for it too. They're all going to be here, like just kind of
just hanging out. Yeah. So anyway, if you're a UT player, if you're not a UT player, either way, go play this weekend. Get the Infiltrator mask because it is awesome. It fits the game so well, right? It's like perfect. It just kind of feels like it belongs there.
Yeah. Stacy was just so excited. She come running up to me yesterday. It's like, you got to see this video. It's like, oh, so nice.
Oh, and before we hop into the Game Jam results here too, a couple things we want to call out. Alex, you were going to do the top 3 answer hub.
Let's do that thing.
I just hit a refresh over here. If you're going to show a column from the. Oh, you got it too. Great, go for it.
Refreshing it.
Yep.
There we go.
So what you got?
All right. So this week, our top of the charts is Insomnia with 260 karma. I want to say this right. It's Aranesia. At 245, and Jackie at 188. Hey, Jackie.
Right.
Yeah, cool. Good work, everybody. Of course, I'm seeing a lot of other names on the rest of the list that are always there, but you got to compete harder, I guess. People are getting very hardcore about this.
We really appreciate you spending time to help out the community.
So much.
And we've got the new Answer Hub Sage badges that are going to be rolling out very soon. We're retroactively doing those too for the others we've called out in the past. I know, Michael Aller, you're really upset with us on that, but we're getting to it, I promise you.
Yes.
And one more quick note too. We mentioned it last week, or maybe 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I guess 2 weeks ago now. A few of us are going to be out at Oculus Connect, so if you're going to be at the show, hit us up. Feel free to come say hi. We'd love to chat with you all. We're all big VR fans ourselves. We're excited about the show, and there's just all kinds of fun stuff going on. So definitely reach out.
Yeah.
All right. Now we can go over to this. So Game Jam. So we did Live Deathless on the heels of the Infinity Blade announced last week, which is the slogan we've got across our shirts and everything else in the games, things like that. But this one, we actually had the largest turnout so far. Almost 60 came through. I think the last final count was 59. There may have been one that didn't quite make the deadline, or that they didn't get an upload, but we saw a video. So we may be 60, maybe 59, but I think there were 57 total valid submissions that we had to go through and play.
We got like a video and a couple other interesting things. But yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, I know. We've in the
Totally
past
count.
talked a lot about like we need 2 weeks to judge these things because once it went over 40, we were like, we need to take some time. Well, this one we're like, since the Epic Mega Jam's coming up, we're trying to get back on the regular schedule. We're like, we can do this in a week, and then we get 60. So Alex and I and some others have been rolling through and playing and
So
judging all
kind
the
of
games.
late, trying them out, making the stuff. Yeah.
But it's been awesome. Like there are some
yeah.
incredible submissions this time. It's very difficult to make calls. Even
Yeah.
Michael Aller, who streams at night, he starts at midnight whenever the deadline goes, and he just starts going. He played through every game in their entirety, and there's 17 hours of content that was created by these teams over
Did
the
he do
weekend.
all that in a row?
Yeah, just nonstop.
Oh my gosh.
So he went until about like 4 p.m. the next morning.
Wow.
But like you think about it, that whole team, they could make a full game in a week.
Yeah,
You're
that's so
just like,
impressive.
no, granted, there's some project management and like creative direction, things like that. But that's a lot of content. So we were all really, really impressed with everything that came out of this. So thank you all for participating. We've got a video that's highlighting all the great submissions. So Shelly, if you could pop that over, and then we'll hop over to the winners. Reverse Indiana Jones.
Oh yeah, that was kind of neat. There was a lot of murder in that one.
A lot of murder.
This
in
was a
that
beautiful
one.
experience. This really one. This
Yeah,
one really was.
Lexatronic.
That
regular.
honorable mention right here. That was like all the Dark Souls combat built in. Really nice.
Dun, dun, dun.
That was
Just don't die.
That's like Smash TV.
Smash
Oh,
TV or like Hotline Miami, you know.
That was a beautiful little game.
A grim situation.
Thanks to Eric Ketchum for being my player 2 on that. That's good.
Undead Crusade, there's a lot of the Infinity
yeah.
Blade assets in here, but it's this awesome, right? 3 days put that together.
I was terrible at that game. I was really
Deathless
awful at it.
Family Edition, where the devil laughs at you, and
I
then Live
love
Deathless,
this.
Connor the Rolling Head.
Amazing. This is so addicting. People in the room started trying to get this off of me when they saw me playing it. They're like, "Oh, give me a copy."
Trapdoor.
Oh, that was a sad one.
sad.
It was pretty.
There were some sad
Yeah,
ones.
like people got
Hospital
really
Night
emotional.
Shift.
That was hard.
We're
but it
having to
was
keep
good.
people alive. Kill people to pay the bills.
Oh,
Like-
that was you have to take out retirees.
Oh gosh. Insurance fraud? Is that what that's about? Riddle of Steel. Death loves doggy.
That was so bloody.
Yes.
Belly of the blood.
Imbalance.
Yeah, that one's worth playing a few times just to get all the different maps.
Infinite loop age. Look at those slidey animals. And the box guy from
Yeah.
Infinity Blade.
Extra points for everyone who used the box guy. I love
Yeah.
that.
Cora Loft.
I love how much original stuff was put into that. That's so good.
And this one you have to catch sheep.
You have to
and
catch sheep and kiss them on the butt. I was like,
Oh, nice.
Sometimes I wonder how people come up with some of this stuff. You know, it's incredible.
yeah,
Inspired
like
by
this, the
reality.
babysitting game.
Inspired by reality.
Right there.
Beat the cancer.
Oh
And
gosh.
of course, Marcine's always got, ones that take it to that extra deep emotional level.
Oh, the chicken one. That's fun.
Beyond existence.
This had some really neat
Drop a box on
mechanics.
your head.
Yeah, I had to kill yourself in order to go through walls.
Oh,
that was
wow. So
very
you become a
pretty.
ghost so then you can travel through everything.
Yeah.
Nice. The Cold Mountain.
Yeah, I like the character they did for that. It's really neat.
Bored Dracula.
That was so murder. It's just like blood.
That was like the best game name ever.
Yeah.
Or that sounds like a good Twitter account. Bored Dracula.
Yeah.
Climb, fall, repeat.
This one was really nice too. It was a good mobile game.
That looks depressing.
Yeah.
That
was
looks
hard.
difficult.
So hard. You
Look
had to
at
be like,
that.
Oh
no,
my
just
gosh.
timing. That was great. You
What
just
could
you
have
had. I could
been.
only figure out like light everything on fire and just keep murdering dudes. This was a really
Purgatory.
great
Yeah.
experience.
I love this guy right here.
This one was.
Dun, 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 dun.
Upside down. That's intentional. That is intentional.
Showdown with Sleeping Dragon.
Oh,
Another
yeah. I was
multi-game
getting
jam
murdered on that
participant.
one.
Did he die by sleepless
Cool little
meatbags?
adventure game. Very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is cool. You have to like nuke all the humans off of a planet because they're gonna ruin it by being people.
Yes. People ruin everything, man. Deathless
Yeah,
treasure.
you
have to
play as a
protect.
pirate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
Really neat.
Defender that's moving while you.
Yeah.
While
that
you
was
protect.
that was cool. Actual VR game. I got murdered so much by that troll.
It's alright. We still have that screenshot of you winning that one game.
I won a game once.
Yeah. It's just a reminder, yeah. Yeah, a lot of these video playthroughs are Alexander, so if you're like, man, that guy's terrible,
Yeah.
you know who to look
Yeah.
at. Avoid all humans.
Oh, that was great. Just
Bing, bing, bing.
going up and eating people.
It's like
Oh,
Slender
yeah.
Man
that's
meets
nice.
zombies
Yeah,
meets
that's
Hitman.
actually the IBS. They did some like filtering and stuff. It's really pretty.
Mm.
Lollipop Princess Necromancer. That was another honorable mention. Very cool and original.
Bombardment by Thomas Pettis. Run for your life.
Yeah,
That one was a tough one too.
that was tough.
Little Deathless, little.
Oh,
tower defense.
I gotta admit, I messed this up and I was like, how do I place towers? And I'd already started the waves. You have to place the towers first. And so I just died so fast.
This is the best.
Oh,
Shark
yeah, Shark
Rider.
Rider.
Instead
Like,
of
"Whoa,
jumping the
through
shark,
hoops."
the shark jumps the hoops.
Yeah, this was a weird one. That's cool though.
Nice.
Awesome.
Well, great. So yeah, thanks to everybody that participated. Alex is gonna go ahead and there it is. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
to
when
prove-
he won.
to prove that I actually won a game once.
Rising,
I did
they're gonna
play-
keep that Rising Thunder screen for like forever, basically. Just anytime we need to actually, call out your skills. But Alex is gonna go ahead and present the 3 winners, and then we'll move on to Infiltrator. So what do we got?
All right,
I
so
gotta give you this here.
yes, so
There we go.
we're gonna I'm gonna go ahead and announce all of them, and then we'll open them up and play just a little bit so you guys can get a feel for it. But all right, first one's first. We don't have like an official drum roll or anything, but
Oh, nice.
yeah.
That's good.
yeah, thank you. Gate to Valhalla by Crafted Studios. That's Orminator. It's a one-man team.
Alex.
And that was just a really addicting game. Very cool, like pixel art and stuff. Very addicting. A Grim Situation by Brandon's No Sleep Grinders. Very cool. I liked the couch, 2 people versus mode and all that. Really nice. Lots of cool original stuff. And Death Loves Doggy by 5 Musky Stooges.
Death Loves Doggy is awesome.
Yeah, that's just, it was so much fun. I went back and ended up playing it a couple more times after I beat through it. Yeah, really good stuff. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and bring those up. And get the laptop out of my lap. All right.
That's where it goes.
All right, let's see. All right. Gate to Valhalla. That's cool.
That's cool.
Okay, so I love this has Aller mode also. It doubles the amount of dudes on the screen. It is 100 times harder. I'm gonna show normal mode so you can actually get an idea. So you're this little dude over here, and you can hold shift to go faster, and all you're really trying to do is get these little pieces here so that you can unlock the door. However, it has this kind of Flappy Bird appeal that something is gonna murder you really soon, and then you're gonna get frustrated, and then you're gonna restart, and you're gonna keep playing. And all
So
of the-
basically, you're the guy on the right now, right?
Yeah, like you look like everyone else, so you have to really keep track
So
of
it's
where
very
you
it's
are.
very hard, and and if
Mhm.
you hit anything, and you don't have a name.
No, you don't. That's the only distinction is, there's a chance. There's like a Alex. There's an Aller right there. So
This is getting way too meta.
Oh gosh. I'm like.
Do we need to
trying
nuke the
dodge.
jams from orbit? Or are they becoming transient?
There's a lot of meta jokes going on in here. Like I'm surprised one of these
Ah,
guys is like,
there
oh,
you
I
go.
ran right
Oops.
into him.
So it's an avoid.
wow.
It's an avoid game.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
It's got a really good feel. It needs a D-pad. It's not something I would say like if it was on mobile it'd be like a million times harder, but it's really good.
Did you
Whoa.
open the gate?
I couldn't, but Matt Williams, I watched him do it. He's one of the support guys that saw me playing it. Is like, okay, send me a copy of that. And then the other
Yeah.
support dudes all had to like stop and watch, and we all ended up gathering around him.
Yeah, this is one that kind of wildfired the office for a little bit.
Yeah.
Is there a Dana in there too?
Yeah. Oh yeah, there is totally a
Steve,
Dana.
yeah.
Yeah, there's a Tim. There's
So
a Windows
basically-
no editor.
Basically, this
oh my God.
this is Orminator, and we're all trying to kill him. Is what I'm getting.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I love that there's a few different people in here you might recognize. I want to say that James might be a reference to James Baxter, but I don't know.
Wait, it's funny too, because I'm just walking like a regular dude, but somebody's rolling around like crazy.
Yeah, some of these guys like they'll just
Who is
turn
that?
right into you. Oh, I want to say that says Craig. There's a Tyler over here that's going crazy. Ah. Oh my gosh.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, Tim's coming for me. Ah. Oh, that's Craig. Ah.
Cool. That's
yeah,
awesome.
Awesome game. Oh,
There you
okay.
go.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
about to win, but then I lost. And just so you can see what Aller mode is, and it's all of its terror. It's just
Whoa.
Is
This is just like extra. I'm just trying to stay alive.
there's
right
a
now.
Windows no editor in there too?
Yeah, there's totally. I love that.
It's funny. So many of these, that's like the base name when you cook a build.
Oh,
so
yeah.
many of the Windows the games that come across are named Windows No Editor.
We
And whenever Michael Aller does his streams, he has like a notepad up that he like keeps tally of how many Windows No Editors come across.
There were quite a few
Pretty
in
great,
this one,
yeah.
but yeah. All right. Let's get to Valhalla. Let's see. A grim situation. Now I had to get 2 controllers in here because in order to run this one, you have to have 2.
This is the one that
rifles.
you said. Shout out to Tim. Was it Tim Hobson? That was your P2.
No, it was Eric Ketchum.
Eric Ketchum.
Yeah, but I can see the confusion. Tim Hobson and Eric Ketchum are like best buddies, and you just see them together all the time. All
Yeah,
right, hang
nuke
on.
that mic.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to.
Cool. What's that?
Oh yeah,
I- I didn't watch that. I'm sorry. Usually.
This awesome undercutting action.
Thank you. Look at that.
It does not have a knot in the key.
No. Yeah.
All right. Oh my. Sorry about
Am I P1? I'm P1.
Are you playing? Okay.
Can you give focus to the thing?
Hang on. I gotta.
No time.
Oh my gosh, I'm
We have to
going.
talk Infiltrator.
Oh my gosh, you're right. I'm sorry.
No worries.
Okay,
Oh, good.
So I think I'm the Pope.
I'm
or
Death.
Are you Death? Oh,
So
wait, hang on a second.
do I collect these souls and then I?
There I am. Okay, so yeah, I'm the Pope. You're Death, and
Yeah.
you're trying to collect souls and bring them to a grave. Meanwhile, I'm trying to kind of mess with you, and also if those souls do get sent to the grave, I have to convert them back. I think. That's
What
it
about
was.
this person who's just hanging around?
No,
Can I
he's just
scare them?
scared of you because you're Death.
Oh, great.
And they just kind of hang out around me. Oh, right, and you also have some powers you can activate too, so you can like move faster. I'm not gonna tell you what buttons they are because then that would give you an
Oh no,
actual
I know what
advantage.
buttons they are.
Yeah, there's only
I've-
so many.
So I've played. I'm just asking you a question.
Oh, I see how it is. Where are you?
This kind of reminds me of there was one of the first game jam games we had was a 2-player game where one of you is a pumpkin, one of you is a kid, and you're going through the house. One of you
Oh,
is
there we go.
One of you is turning the lights on, the other one's turning the lights off.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, that's right, for the bump in the night one.
Yeah.
Now you have to, where did you go?
I can't remember where the graveyard is.
Yeah. This was easier when Eric and I basically ran into each other in the beginning and just harassed each other for hours.
Down the graveyard.
Oh, no.
So if I have a Sith, can I hurt you with it?
Wait, a what?
Oh, a sickle.
Did you pronounce it Sith?
I thought it
What? It's a scythe.
Oh.
Oh.
I've always called it a Sith.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh. Oh, you were just over here.
I was. I'm putting souls in that thing.
Wait a minute.
This is not going to be one that Shelly's going to take a picture of for later.
No. No, because you were clearly winning and you... Oh, dang it. I lost track of where you must be. Oh, is it yelling? Oh, okay.
Nice. This is cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I won't spend too much on this because I
Yeah.
know we only have Francois for so long.
All right.
Those are regular people. Okay, never mind. All right. But yeah,
That's great.
that gives
Yeah.
them an idea.
I love,
Unfortunately, I
love,
couldn't find you
I
to
love
beat you up.
competitive 2-player. It's
Yeah.
always good, especially
Oh.
built like, in 3 days.
Yeah.
Wow.
Alrighty.
All right, and then next one we had up was...
Hang on. I want to make sure I exit out of the right project.
yeah.
There we go. All right. And finally, this one is Death Loves Doggy,
Death Loves Doggy.
which,
My personal favorite from this one.
yeah, this is
Loved everybody's, but this one is just super cool.
I have to admit as well that while I loved the other ones, this is very special and unique in a great way. So very simple, WASD to control Death. Death can only drop bones and possess people, and drop a bone, the dog will go from point A to point B. Just want to get him across the stage.
Sorry, I love the dog animation. It's
It's a
awesome.
very kind of sad dog.
Well, at the same
Yeah,
time, too,
he's very
you're,
mellow, not-
you're a
not scared.
skeleton dropping bones.
I
How
know.
clever is that, right? I love it.
So
And this
it's awesome.
peon.
So yeah, the peons you can take control with Q, and you stick a scythe in their
Oh,
head,
wow.
and so he has like the scythe in his head to
You can
take control,
him.
and he can open the door
Cool.
for the dog.
See?
And then if I place,
Amazing.
okay, so at first you guys are like, well, this is okay, but but hang on a second now. So I have to jump over the dog because the dog will get stuck on the dude.
Yeah, the dude will stop the dog.
So this is where it gets a little weird.
By weird, he means Wild 9. Remember that old David Perry game?
Oh, God.
It was awesome.
So there's a spike pit, and I don't want the dog to die, right? Because we love dogs. So let's just drop one of these guys on it. It'll be fine.
So now the dog can walk across the pit.
Yeah, you can just step across that mutilated dead body.
They could chomp out of him.
I love the blood effects too. They're so great. They're so like old pulp horror, you know?
Yeah, yeah, they get pretty gnarly in some of the later stages where they just really ramp up.
All right, so the woman's gonna stop the dog, but you can grab the woman and he'll still go. Got it.
Yep. So this is interesting. This is like pre-rendered art, right?
Yeah, this is what's
It's
really
kinda
cool.
interesting.
Like, look at how much it's like so original. Like,
Well,
Reminds me of those games 20 years ago. I guess.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
so here's
like
where it gets really
15 years
2.5D,
ago.
Vector
Yeah,
Man.
exactly.
Donkey Kong Country.
Yeah, there you go.
So this is cool. This guy has to pull down a drawbridge, which goes all right.
Oh, nice. Good effects.
Ah.
Oh,
I know. I wish
gosh.
we could.
Oh, we can't hear them screaming.
Let's put a
But-
speaker behind us.
All right. And so what you do is you basically have to clear the path for the dog, which generally involves getting a lot of people killed in really horrific ways, and it just gets pretty silly. Like, I remember I ran through this one the first time and I messed it up. So I'm gonna mess it up again so you guys get the idea. So it's like, oh, cool, I'll go over here and pull this lever, right? And then you go over here and you're like, oh no,
Nice.
no,
But
that didn't go the way I
But
thought
you
it
need
would.
that guy, right?
Yeah, so you need him, and
Avalanche
he's just gonna
blood.
just bleed all over. So yeah, you can restart the level and stuff.
Reminds me of this one effect I made once in a game, and it was just called Blood Geyser.
Every
Yeah.
game's got to have one.
Yeah.
All right, so you take control of him. So now that you know like the trap is there, you can like jump over it and then do it properly.
This is really well put
And then
together.
you can
Yeah.
get him cut to yeah, you just do that again 'cause it's fun.
But it's okay now. You don't need him anymore.
Yeah, you don't need him anymore, so you can just have him murder. He just hangs out there.
Yeah.
Making like whatever. All right, so I gotta put the bone down.
One more bone.
Now there are actually a lot of cool levels to this, so I'm not gonna go through everything because we have a lot to cover today. But just want to give you guys an idea of the amount of silliness.
It's actually really cool from a
Oh.
design perspective too,
a
because
little farther over.
you end up with, like that slow ramp up. They introduce a mechanic, and
Yep.
then they introduce another mechanic,
exactly-
and they make you master that mechanic, or at least be adept about it, right?
That's why they got all those bonus points for me, because that is great.
Very,
great
very
level
well
design,
paced.
great game design. And then of course this is just really silly because you have to just basically get all these guys killed so the
And
dog doesn't die.
The fact that that's the thing, like
I want this in VR so that
it-
the
it-
dude just comes swinging at my face. And then
it's less like it reminds me of Wild 9, the old PlayStation game, but it's less about escorting an animal or something like that. But you just have to get through things by using your enemies to stop other traps in the game, right? It's
Oh,
a
wow.
lot of fun. Yeah, kind of like that
Oh,
too.
yeah, kinda like Scribble
Knots.
Knots,
Thanks,
yeah.
Shelly.
this
Shelly,
is,
you
this
need
is
a
like
microphone.
gory. Yeah, you really
Yeah.
do.
You really do.
Yeah, this is like gory Scribble Knots. I like that.
Shelly's got so many great
Oh,
little
no.
quips that stay off camera, and it's
I
sad.
accidentally killed both of them before opening the door, so yeah, I messed that one up.
Nothing you can do. All right.
All right, guys. you
Great
get the
work,
idea.
everybody.
Excellent work.
That looks like fun.
Just a reminder, we'll have a Epic Swag Pack sent out to all members of your team. So if you haven't sent Alexander your information already, he'll probably be reaching out to you fairly shortly afterwards to get everything. He's actually wearing the Game Jam shirt. Oh, well, there it is too. But he's got it on today. So you'll be getting one of those with the theme of the month on it for what was that month? September. That's the one.
Yeah, this
It's been-
month.
I have a newborn. It's crazy. I have no idea what day it is right now.
Left is right, up is down.
Left is certainly right. No, so those will be shooting out as soon as we get everybody's information together. We'll get the order and shoot it out. So reminder again, next month is way bigger prizes. 2 more sponsors left to announce. So keep an eye out for that. It'll probably be around this time next week. We'll announce the next one, and then the next week, same time. So. Great work.
Yeah,
Thanks a lot,
alright.
Alexander. Thanks for
It wasn't easy
those
to
with
pick
us.
the winners,
Oh
honestly.
no, definitely not.
my
I mean,
gosh.
there's so much great content in there. We saw like a mix of Infinity Blade assets. We saw a mix of just marketplace stuff, and then just a whole bunch that were, all made
Yeah.
seemed made over the
Handmade,
weekend. Yeah,
completely
pixel art. It's just
unique,
crazy diverse
2D,
this
like
time.
hand-drawn stuff. Yeah, really great stuff.
Anyway, all right. Well, We should probably talk Infiltrator or something, huh?
Sure, yeah.
So Infiltrator was, I mean, gosh, it's been around for a couple years now. I remember I first saw it was quite a while back, and it blew my mind, the capabilities of technology for games these days, right? It was it was made, like, was it for GDC 2013 was when we debuted it. And it was showing off the like, very early days of Unreal Engine 4, and in relation. I mean, it was early then, but like in relation to now, I mean,
it was early.
It was super early. So much that we've changed some things. Let's talk to Wyatt beforehand about the PBR whole pipeline is a little bit different now too.
It is. Yeah.
We've made serious improvements to it there, so you might see some other, some artifacts from that old style.
We ported all that stuff over, right, to the new system, so it was quite a bit of work.
Yeah, but yeah, it still looks really great. Every time I see it, I'm like, man, this is phenomenal, and it makes me want to, try to dive in and learn how a lot of it was done, which is why I'm glad it's out now. That's the first thing I'm gonna do is pull it.
What was interesting about the Infiltrator is that before this, we had the demo called Samaritan, which looked beautiful. It was on UE3, but we had it was running on like a bunch of video cards. If I remember well, we had like a video card that was just for the visuals, and we had, I think, was it 2 video cards, or something like that, for the MSAA or something to make it gorgeous. And then there was a lot of criticism, which, this is not like a realistic machine for most people.
Right.
So one of the focus was to make this look as beautiful as possible, but run on like an end-level consumer card that someone, still a high-end card at the time, but it's just one, right? It's more reasonable.
Right. Well, it's similar to, since it's fresh in a lot of people's minds, like Kite. We worked on the Kite demo for what it is. Now, granted, we're pushing brand new, highest end we could possibly get hardware for there. But, in a couple years, that hardware will be, much more available. Like, that technology will kind of come down. So you look at Infiltrator, I mean, we were talking earlier, it's like on a 680, right? So 680 back then was kind of the top, and now a 680 is an affordable card for most, PC and development enthusiasts.
Back at the time, we had to hit play, and we were like, everything was cleared, and a single background process was running on the machine. Because we were like getting, taxing the system to the max. And now it's fine. It just runs pretty smoothly on pretty much, most of the mid to high-end hardware.
Yeah, and I'm sure that even with this, you can see how heavy everything is. So if somebody wanted to go through and try to make even further optimizations and get the content moved even further down, it's all in your hands.
And also, guys, when you scroll through this, you might see a lot of the draw. If you're scrubbing through Matinee, you might see a lot of the kind of like debug and editor icons and the draw curves, and those guys are kind of on what's called a slow render path. So if you play through with all this kind of wireframe stuff displayed, you're getting kind of slower performance than you would if you had all that stuff hitting with the G mode, or if you're running a build.
Yeah, so if you're going to test it out and see kind of what performance would be like, in a production environment, definitely run it in game mode.
Yeah, and in Pi
Oh, I forgot to mention real quick about the Game Jam rewards.
Ooh.
Little Samaritan, or not Samaritan, Infiltrator paper dolls are coming to everybody as well. So
-1.
Yes, except for
this one's mine.
Yeah, I'm going to be building one.
All right, -2.
Alex put this little guy together here earlier. There he is. Oh, did we go away?
Zoom in. There you go. Here you go.
Yeah, so we got these sending out to everybody.
Yeah, it's actually what's the best part is this is the scene. It's actually it comes in a little box, and there's a little guy. Let me see here, and there's a little soldier guy in here, and in there is kind of like the wall that he puts up. You can kind of see that in the middle. And then this is the moment just before he stabs him in the neck.
That's right.
It's really nice.
Because
really
it's got to have violence.
Yeah.
And then you can take the helmet off of him, and you can see his face. How sweet is that?
Speaking of taking the helmet off and looking at his face, let's take a look at the video for those that may not have seen it. There's a lot of newer people to the Unreal Engine community that this might be their first experience taking a look at Infiltrator. So Shelly's got it queued up. We're going to take a look at it now. I still remember the first time I saw this, my just jaw dropped. I was like,
oh yes, so hyper realistic.
This is I guess the idea initially was that this is like a bot factory for these guys, and so this is also how they're being shipped across underneath the city, because they're the ones building the city, and so they're going from point to point underground and then popping back up and then going out on the surface and building buildings and fixing things, etc.
Got it.
And they'll
Infiltrator's just like, I'm gonna come break all the things you're trying to fix.
Yeah, exactly. That's why they need all the bots.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of funny.
This effect, real quick. This effect right here was when I was like, "What?
Yeah.
Like, is this is like Did you do that?
No, I didn't.
Oh,
I'm
that's
trying to remember who
amazing.
did this. It might have been Jordan Walker.
Man, just that refraction and everything, moving
Yeah.
across it just felt so good.
And Shelley was involved in this project a little bit too, we hear. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there's so a bunch of guys with the effects. This is a little droplet by Tim Alec. Matt Hansey also worked on the Death Blossom
Dead.
trails, and I worked on some of the other stuff as well.
Yeah, I mean, I remember hearing a lot about this right when it came out. It's like, we're actually bridging that gap. This was 2 years ago. So we're actually bridging that gap between film and game as far as VFX go, right? Like this looks like what I would expect to see in a movie.
Yeah.
Absolutely gorgeous. And, you know, we've made leaps and bounds moving forward from this even.
But we're going in the right direction, yeah.
Yeah, was there anything, are there like new techniques, or was it just the technology that kind of...
I think what
help
was
drive
cool
a lot
about
of
this
that?
is that we were like a deferred renderer, so we could throw a lot more light than we normally could.
Got it.
So that was huge. And then just the engine was more optimized, so we could throw a lot more textures to it. And then we had the blueprint system, which allowed us to do a lot of cool stuff as well.
Yeah, definitely. Allows more people to get in.
And we have GPU particles as well.
Yeah.
Which allows us to throw a lot of particles.
So this
on the
is really
screen.
like showcasing all of the new features that made Unreal Engine 4,
Yeah.
Unreal Engine 4 over 3, outside of just it looks better, right?
Yeah.
Because Samaritan looked really, really, really good, but I think we were running into kind of the capabilities of the
I think we're
systems
pretty
where-
much maxed out at
Yeah.
the time. I felt that way when I was working on it, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And what was the card that was originally designed for again? They're asking about it.
What was it? A 680, I think. we
Yeah,
said.
this 680 is what there's a there's a GeForce article talking
Mhm.
about it running on a 680 that
Yeah.
we were taking a look at earlier from way back then. And something is only 2 years ago, but it's hard to remember some
Oh,
of
it
these
feels.
details.
I mean, we've done
Yeah.
so much since then already.
Yeah.
Phew.
Well, yeah, because there's been Elemental, there's
Beautiful
Makai,
Vista,
there's like
2 elementals,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then all the other
Two,
little
yeah.
demos that are in between
Yeah,
that
yeah.
sometimes we can't talk about and unannounced. And the game project.
This is such an impressive scene. I've actually
Yeah, I
seen
love
this
that.
over 100 times because when I was in engine QA, I was one of the people that QA'd this. So we would watch it over and over and over again for little
Beautiful
issues.
robot design.
It's great.
Man, this is fantastic.
Some of the destruction.
This
and all the
this whole
impacts.
sequence, the animations on the robot and like the cinematics
Yeah, the
rolling around that
destruction
corner.
on that. It's gorgeous.
Who did the cinematics on this? Like who? Clausen? Got it.
Michael.
I was running the actual matinee tracks. Step back in.
Grenade.
Boom.
Yeah, no one lived.
Yeah. Death Blossom? Oh,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think that the whole everybody died. It's funny if you that video's been on YouTube for a couple years now, and the comments are great. And then one of the top ones is like, "Did he die? Like people want to know.
But did he die?
But no, he's back. He's now in your hands, and you can stick him in the kite demo. I would love to see this guy chasing the
Yes.
kite around, or maybe a flock of this man as deer.
That was almost one of the promos. Yeah.
You can chase around with a little drone thing in there. Oh, so that's great. Yeah, so a lot of the things working on VFX, like you had Cascade kind of came over from 3 into 4, right? So
Yes, yeah, it was basically a port.
yeah, so you didn't really have a whole lot of new challenges outside of like the PBR pipeline to actually get effects and how Cascade and effects work with PBR
Yeah.
and those kind of things.
Yeah.
Was there anything that was particularly like challenging when trying to approach this as a
Yeah.
brand new engine? I mean, I'm sure a brand new engine is a challenge enough, right? Kind of
Yeah.
taking on a whole bunch of new systems, but is there anything that sticks out?
So the GPU particles helped a lot with the sparks you see in the beginning.
Yeah.
So maybe you can slide back to the beginning,
Yeah.
and this is something that
back.
Tim Alec worked on a lot. So he kind of took over all the, so we wanted to make the environment alive. So you got some robots welding,
Yeah.
and you can hit the G key if you want to hide some of the
there we
stuff.
go. So yeah, there's that welding you're
So
talking
you have the
about
welding
going
bot,
on
and then so his particles normally go through the grating because it's GPU particles, so they'll go through. So it's not really codiving with the actual the actor
Yeah,
geometry.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
going through and
Right,
bouncing
with the
around.
visibility
Yeah,
stuff, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was super nice. So Tim worked on that kind of a lot of the environmental stuff as well. So that looked great. Some of the challenges where we're as effects guys, we always want new cool tech, and when the code guys were so busy just getting UE4 in a runnable state
Yeah.
and the lighting to work that they didn't have time to add any new other rendering features besides this. So I was pretty bummed out because I wanted to do like a really cool explosion and use some kind of real volumetric
Yeah.
technique, because as effects guys, it feels like the constraint's always that we're using sprites, which has these little square cards, polys
Right.
with a picture on them to
And then
kind of display things.
And you're running it through something, or
yeah,
you're running it
and we have
across the
textures
material.
applied to them,
Yeah.
but it's so limiting. Like if you want to do something that's cohesive, you're making it out of all these little pieces that don't really have any way to blend together, really. So
And you may see some
that's a
weird
bummer.
artifacts once one is doing something differently than you thought it would.
and just getting that motion together.
Yeah.
So it was two things we wanted for Cascade for the UE4 was a better way to render particles, a more interesting way, and then we wanted to have also a new way to move them around.
Got
and
it.
so the velocity grids is also something that had done for Elemental. So I guess it was right after this, which was basically an attempt to move particles through kind of like a velocity field that drives the particles to give them more interesting motion, more cohesive motion.
So you can do like snow that goes over an overpass of wind, might take it and roll it away.
Yeah. And so so we're working on a new version of Cascade, a replacement called Niagara internally.
Oh, yes.
And I guess some people may have played with it already, obviously.
There's a lot of buzz, a lot of want for that, because like it's from what we understand, it's tied better into the UE4 systems.
Yeah,
it feels much less UE3.
Yes.
And
so tied into blueprints way better. But the cool thing is that we're building it in a mod. First of all, it's going to be node based. For those of you who haven't seen it, and second of all, it's going to be very extensible, and it's not going to have that kind of glass ceiling that Cascade had.
Yeah.
Cascade, once you learned and managed to do everything, you kind of hit the ceiling, and then after that, you were kind of stuck. You couldn't get better or do something better. You couldn't script. You couldn't do really anything.
Everything turns into kind of a hack. Right?
Yeah, exactly. And then after a while, you can't hack any further. It's like just crazy,
so you
right?
just run into multiple walls.
You got too many. It gets slow and etc. So with Niagara, we have basically modules you can plug in, and you can add plugins to it, and so we could add a fluid simulator, and we could add like new rendering type and all that stuff pretty easily in there. So it won't be like a big what is it called? A castle of cards or whatever.
Right.
House of Cards. Where you change
one
module.
Cool.
Castle.
It's
more impressive.
It's larger.
And I think it's
way more
appropriate.
Way more
for
depressing when
Cascade.
something goes wrong.
The drawbridge and all the towers.
Bam. So So anyway, So all the aspects, so the destruction, the explosion, the screw explosion, the big screw explosion, that was a challenge because I wanted to do something with volumetrics or some other technique. We didn't have that, so I kind of like hacked it. We got something that was serviceable. Still want to redo it when we get Niagara and the different modules in properly and kind of reuse that system. And then a lot of the rigid body destruction. So you see the bots falling down the screw and kind of crashing and breaking apart. So there was a lot of destruction there. And at the time, we were working with NVIDIA on the new physics stuff. And so we wanted to get that into the engine. Unfortunately, we didn't get to it in the end because the tech wasn't quite ready yet. So this was done outside of the engine and brought in as skeletal meshes.
Got it.
With different animations.
So you had to bake all this
So
outside.
so if you look back up, you should start seeing them falling down. So I had to bake it outside. Yeah, they'll start sliding off, and then parts fall off when they hit the edges and stuff. So, but that was all done using the Apex plugin for Mac. So it's still in the NVIDIA world, which is the same tools we would have had in the engine, pretty much.
Yeah.
So I feel like it wasn't too bad. It'll still apply basically.
So like if you were to take that and put it somewhere else in the world, it would have those animations still applied to it.
Yeah.
It's pretty cheap at least. Right?
Yeah, it's very cheap. It's very efficient, and it's kind of skeletal mesh based animation. And now we're diving into. We have feature requests. Actually, we have a version working with kind of vertex animation. So now we could actually do the same thing, but with kind of facial verts and stuff.
Got it.
So we can even do more detail. So it's definitely a valid technique,
Yep.
So
that'd be physics.
Yeah, it's just if it has to be interactive.
Physics-driven vertex animation, essentially. Then at that point.
No, in that case, it would just be like vertex animation.
Okay.
But this is a valid technique because it's cheap, and if you're not interacting with the object, you really have no need to be computing the physics on that, like for every frame to see am I hitting something? If so, react differently. So kind of makes sense. It's just from a workflow point of view. It's also always nice to have stuff in the engine, and we'll get that. We'll be able to probably bake out our sims and generate like a big skeletal mesh. So.
Oh wow.
But yeah, it was a fun time.
Yeah, it's a great looking falling effect.
It's funny too, in chatting with Wyeth beforehand, he mentioned a lot of the assets are painted a little darker to kind of match the theme and kind of the whole feel of the entire piece here.
Yeah.
Is that something that you're just like from a technical art perspective, when you approach like a project like this, you kind of work from that kind of mood, and then you make post and lighting and your materials all kind of balance each other, right? Like it's less about trying to emulate what real light would look like here, but it affects every piece top to bottom, right? Like, so do you know of anything in particular that you did on that outside of just darkening some textures? Was there anything special
it was pretty tricky because we switched to like the more physically based render type.
Yeah.
And so basically all the texture, we had to relearn how to make the textures, the diffuse textures basically. Because for previously on UE3 we'd make them kind of dark to the way we liked, or right? And then here we had more accurate lighting, so they had to be in a more plausible range so that we'd get kind of the same light treatment across all different surfaces. But yeah, I guess we had to darken them. I don't remember that particularly, but
yeah, it seems like with PBR you'd have to.
It was kind of figuring out what the range is of the texture. We might make all the textures too bright because we were used to doing it that way.
Right.
And then here we had basically a new renderer, and we had to kind of like adjust that.
Well, yeah, because
I definitely remember that.
It's taking and absorbing and reflecting light much differently than before, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So where it's like, oh, it needs to be brighter, brighten the lights up.
Yeah,
you know? Well,
and then we put the post process on top, but that's usually towards the end that we add that because we don't want to mess anybody up when they're working on stuff. So we'd rather have something more correct, and then we add the beauty tone mapping after.
Thanks for the close up.
Oh, it's so cute.
Yeah, I can't wait to build my own.
They're so cute before they commit murder.
And then you could jump out to the debris outside too. That's also a little part. It's kind of cool. It's the same thing. I started doing it in the destructible system, but once again it was done with the Apex. I guess it was Max plugin.
Let's see.
The end, you'll see when the Death Blossom just tears up the.
Yeah, that's actually my favorite part. Is you see those bullets just ripping up pieces.
Yeah, it was. We had to make it like really very scary, basically. Yeah, the particle effects won't trigger, but they're skeletal meshes, so you'll see the pieces fly up, but you won't get any of the if you scrub through. Yeah, so all the stuff's tearing up. So the ground was made up with little slabs, basically, and I built a little library of different slabs blowing up, putting little things, and then we instanced them back around. So they look nice, and then it kind of triggers it while you're going around. Then different effects.
Got it. And so those come up the same time every time?
Yeah. Which is important when you play cinematic. You don't want to like mess with any kind of.
That's so cool.
Otherwise, you might be showing it one time and someone hits a rock like in their face.
Yeah, and then it hits the camera, or just very odd. Exactly.
This is what I love right here about having this project, is being able to just roll around and look at this right now.
And you can see what the Death Blossom was up to the whole time.
It's like the Matrix slow-mo bullet time.
Oh yes.
And then I think we did some like cheap swaps on the little leg of the statue as well. There, I think when it gets shot up, it gets torn up. Yeah, you see the bullet impact there at the top, and I think if you keep going, I think there's a bit more tear up. There you go. Bam.
So you're just swapping them out.
Yeah, we are. Actually, I had done some sims in Houdini, so treating the statue base as a cloth. And I was shooting kind of bullets through it and ripping the cloth.
Oh, got it.
And so we got some pretty good results to mimic bullet holes. But then we decided we didn't really want to do holes. We want to do more denting. Otherwise, we have to deal with what's inside. So in the end, we just did different dents and then swapped the meshes.
It's a little bloody right there. You get it a
Band-Aid. It's like it must be heated metal. Yeah.
And all of these.
It looks painful.
All of these swaps and all of these sequences are all driven by Matinee.
Yes.
So you don't have like an interaction where a bullet's hitting that and telling it to do something. It is. So this is a great example of how to build like a end-to-end 3-minute cinematic experience using Matinee with multiple moving parts.
Yeah. Showing you how to trigger the character and the effects, and then just the post processes when you go outside versus inside.
Yeah.
All that good stuff.
Man, that's what I'll be spending a lot of time. I've done a lot of Matinee in 3 and some in 4, and there's just some things that it's like, man, I can't get things to quite look the way I want to, and so for me specifically, this will be a really great learning experience to kind of hop in and figure that out.
Okay, that's the final version.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
nice.
Very cool.
And we got some nice sculpts in there, since that's the other good thing. When you're not using Sims, you can actually put some nice sculpts done by hand, and they look gorgeous.
And they look great every time.
They look
because they're the same every time.
Yeah, exactly. And also, someone went in there and just like super polished and did the edge and all that. So, for certain shots, that's what you need. And at the time when I was doing the Sims, I had to export the scene out to Max or Maya or FBX, and at the time we didn't have an easy way to export basically animated meshes out of the engine. So now that this is running a new version of the engine, we can do that. You can just go in the upper left and do export the cinematic, and you can just import that into Maya or Max or whatever, and you get like everything just populated. I just did it the other day for another project, so that's awesome.
Fantastic.
Something that used to be very painful. That's great and nicely intuitive to do nowadays.
I know. I've learned that for me, I'm not an artist, but having to make tweaks to the art pipeline, especially not being an artist, or any tweaks to the assets anywhere in the art pipeline has always been like a pain for me. And and the engine is always the end, right? So it's always start up here and then roll down. You make a tweak, come back up, and then roll back down like that.
Yeah.
So any way that we can push back this direction is actually kind of cool too. Right?
So yeah, the world's kind of alive. I think there's little cars that are flying all over the place.
Oh yeah, this is actually my favorite map that we've gotten to release yet.
Yeah, so there's stuff moving. I think we're just on a spot where there's a lot of depth
there's
of
a lot of depth of field going on. So if you back it up just a little
when
bit.
we come back to the scenic.
There you go. That's a good one. So those mountains in the background, actually, here's a kind of neat little trick.
So you can see the cars, the lights moving and stuff. It's pretty cool. So this was not just a matte background, guys. Look at this. This is 3D.
This is my
pretty awesome.
thing.
There's all the cars. See?
Yeah, they're actually just kind of like little light particle effects.
Yeah, they are part. They're
just little tricks.
They're awesome because you don't need the body of the car, right? Yeah, huge, right?
So this is the best part. That is not a map, not a painting at all. There is a whole nother city over there and another one way back here.
I'm sure that really helps.
This is a nice rock.
It was really great for performance.
Yeah.
I'm trying to zip to the rock, and no.
Oh wow! Look at that.
We probably actually ran out of RAM on this machine.
Yeah, actually, this machine
is
does
not a
have good
hardcore
RAM.
machine, but it shouldn't be. It was running fine on it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
That always happens. That's
now I know you.
So
had
anyway,
live.
I'll talk about this awesome drink that I have.
Yes,
Let me tell you an interesting story about this. There's not a lot of French people or French speakers at Epic, so completely off topic.
Oh.
Ta-da!
You want me to
So
try
I
to
used to
pronounce
drink
that?
these, and I used to leave them at people's desks when I go around because that's just I'm forgetful. I get into a conversation, I'll leave it, and then people would track me down, even if they were not at desk. They'd find it and be like, "Here, I think you left your drink," and I'm like, "How would you know?" And they're like, "Well, it's a French drink." So you must be the guy drinking it.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, okay, it's not a French drink, first of all.
Did you go put Diet Cokes on all their desks?
Exactly. I did put curry on a guy who didn't like Indian food. I did that. I don't know if you met Scott Sherman at the time.
Yeah, he was great. Yeah.
So the funny thing about Scott, he's a great guy, but he hates
a lot
curry
of
and
stuff.
Indian food.
Yeah.
So he used to have this drink crunch, and he has food served in another area of the cafe. So one day he wasn't there. I took a nice little big bowl of curry and I put it in his room after he was gone for the night. So it was probably like 7 or 8 o'clock. And then he came back the next day and it gave nice flavor and smell to his whole room. He loved it the next day. Anyway,
sure
kind of
he
off
did.
topic, but it was fun.
Worth it.
All right, now we're back.
Oh,
All
yes.
right.
Sorry.
Yeah. You were showing a video of like the explosion mesh earlier. I
Yeah,
know there's actually
sure.
a few questions that
Oh,
came
yeah,
across
here you
about building the explosions.
Oh
right?
yeah, sure. I'd be happy to go through that.
See, the editor only does that stuff to me, so you should be perfectly fine.
All right, and I'm going to mostly play these movies. All right, so sure. I mean, some of you guys have seen this before, and now you can actually look at the materials that I used. And so it was a lot of I guess the screw explosion was done with me, and then Jordan Walker wrote some of the material wizardry you're going to see back there. So yeah, pretty cool stuff. So I was trying to do a prototype of this volumetric effect that I wanted to have in the engine. We want to make like this awesome, screw explosion because it was going to be kind of like our big threatening moment. So let me kind of pull the matinee over there. So I'm scrubbing through matinee just so you know. That's where things are moving. Let me hide this. There we go. Now kind of, you've seen it probably already. Let's hit play. Psst. There we go. And you'll see the explosion right there. So the robot's falling down, breaking down, and the explosion kind of going through. You can see, like, I guess the special thing about it is that it's got like volume to it, and you'll see it comes up and it wraps itself around the kind of the metal walkways and the ladders and stuff.
It feels like it collides with it and does what you expect fire or gas to do as it hits the metal.
And does it? Yeah, you can see, right? It just goes over. And it's a slice-based approach, and you can, under certain conditions, you can kind of see kind of the technique back behind it. But so at the time, I'll show you kind of a video captured from my phone. This is kind of how we capture video sometimes to show off at Epic.
It's America's home video style.
Exactly, yeah.
Very,
so
very high quality.
this was kind of like my first particle system that was using the technique of the slice-based approach. And so at the time, it was static, and it was just like, wow, it looks pretty three-dimensional. I think we could try to do something with this. Performance was completely fine, actually. We're using GPU particles. You can see GPU sprites right over there. So it was, kind of interesting. And so it's a slice. I only did half of it. The other half, you can see you're looking through the explosion sim. You can see little slices there on the side, which is what I was showing. So then I worked on it a bit more and then managed to get like an animated version of this in Cascade.
Wow.
So at the time it was like, okay, kind of interesting.
Yeah,
I think
no big deal.
I could try to scale it up and see if we can get something a bit better. So all right, so I think I have a little quick overview of kind of how this happened. Let's see. Yeah, and I showed this before a little bit, but most of you probably haven't seen it. So this is the setup basically in Max. So I'm using FumeFX for rendering the sim. You could do this in Maya Fluids or Houdini or whatever. It doesn't really matter. And then so you have the collision objects for the sim right here. In the end, I don't think I used anything for the screw itself. I just used very simple meshes for the side walls. And so this is the FumeFX cache sim right here. And you can see it's doing like a preview render of it based on the camera angle.
And this is a tool that's letting you kind of collect that data you want? Or
So this is a tool that basically allows you to create the actual fire and smoke plume. So the fluid sim, basically.
Got it.
Oh, yeah.
So once I got that, what I did is I had a little rig there that would place a camera in 10 different spots, if I remember it was 10. And then basically I'm only rendering each little slice from one step to the other. And so I'm basically always rendering this slice here. And that's kind of how I got usually we'll render a sim, we'll render it from the top down, and you just get the top, right?
Got
when
it.
it gets close to you or it's far, that's it. And we'll do it in orthographic mode so it doesn't come closer, it's always kind of the same distance. In this case, we wanted to have this like third dimension, which is this depth. And so the question was like, okay, if I capture these little slices, I can't capture every single pixel because that'd be way too much information. But let me capture these broad strokes, like every 5 feet or something, or 10 feet. I'll just capture those into a texture. And then we'll re-extrude those basically back using kind of like an interpolation between each slice in the material. So basically, I'm capturing those, and you can see if I'm moving, the sim's just moving through the volume. And I'll show you kind of what we got out of it. So when we rendered one of these slices, this is what it looked like from the top down. And you can see you're getting like a slice that kind of tries to come towards you. And then the fire basically raises up above the camera, and you're just left with the smoke. And the smoke is cool, so it stays below. And the fire is hot, rises, just like hot air. So that's what the slice looked like. And let me see, is this the same one? So once we got all the slices in, so these are all the slices used here. I put them back in After Effects to make sure that they layered properly and that the rendering was correct. And so I'm going to show you that. I didn't do anything with this. This is just kind of like just a sanity check, just to make sure everything was okay. And you see I'm turning off the slice, and they're stacked on top of each other. And then eventually you'll have just a bit of smoke in the bottom.
Got it.
Yeah. So I got these animated textures, and you'll see those. They're in the project, so you'll be able to load those up and see the sub-UV or the texture atlases, and you'll be able to look at those and kind of see how that effect works for yourself. And so that was used into then the material for the sim, for the recreation in there. So you have the screw explosion folder, I guess, what's in here. And here are the renders. Yeah, there we go.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So you'll see there's one of the slices, and you'll see this is displaying the alpha. So if you hide this, you'll see what they look like.
Actually, yep.
Yeah. And so
What's the resolution on that thing?
4K.
Okay, yeah.
At the time, they were like, "Oh my God, you are crazy! 4K textures in UE3. We never did 4K textures." And we're like, "Well, it's not UE3 anymore, and we got RAM, so why don't we go for it? Time to grow up." And in the end, the performance of the explosion was absolutely fine. No worries. We didn't even have to use that many particles for it. So, yeah, it was cool. So there's the slices you see. So 4Ks. And I guess in games, being done rest to 2K. So anyway, those guys and their optimizations.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, cool. I know you gotta probably get out pretty soon today, but I was wondering if there's any last things you wanted to kind of mention out to people, maybe take a question or two.
Yeah, I'm happy to take some questions. We're really proud of this at the time. It was a big achievement. It was like you said, like the highest fidelity. It's not photoreal. It's kind of it has a little style to it. But once again, like these projects, what people don't realize is that they're done pretty much in a very big rush, right? We don't have like a 7-month plan, and then we start with pre-production, and we draw the storyboards, and we don't do that. It's usually like, hey, 2 guys have been doing this for a week, you need to help them, and then it kind of organically grows. And then usually last people come in, there's like 2 weeks left, and it's like, all hands on deck, just do this. And still the team's not that big at that time. It's 15 people or something. or 20 people, or if we're lucky, So
20
I'm
people.
especially
No, you say
proud.
if we're lucky, like.
I'm especially proud because this is usually a pretty small team that achieves a lot on all these demos that Epic makes. And so that's always like a big sense of pride. And usually we have some R&D support, but we also are working on games and on the engine, so they have to share their time. So we try to do the most with the least amount of interruptions to the code guys. So a lot of times we'll do kind of like these hacks to try to get awesome and different looking features. And then they'll add some new lighting features for us, and they just have to be careful like where their time is spent, I guess. And so that's a big sense of pride, is that we all work on this, and it's kind of like we're all in it together and we get it done, and when it looks great and people respond positively, it's a great feeling.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, it's funny, like, the short cycle projects that we talked about. Kite was the same way. Now it had it was a much bigger undertaking because we had to build so many engine features.
It was.
But then the team was bigger, but still, I mean, it wasn't something that took more than, a couple months, right? Like
it was 9 weeks more or less. It was insane.
Yeah, and
I started in the room, it was me. So Kite, we started 3 people. We're in the executive room. We started with, for some reason over there. Oh yeah, so we could discuss what the project was going to be with having to walk over. So it was myself, Ryan Brooks, and Brent Karras, the running programmer. That was it. And we're like, it's going to be a little project. We're going to kind of go around this nature, and it's going to be 10,000 square miles or whatever. At the time, we had big ambitions and a very low budget. And in the end, we had to kind of control that down. And with the team grew to kind of, because filling out the world was a huge challenge with like interesting things, And so the content team grew a lot. But yeah, it came out great. It was a great experience.
Oh, that's great. Well, yeah, it's funny you say you tossed this together pretty quickly, and that's one of the reasons everyone's been asking for Infiltrator for so long, right?
Yeah.
We've always wanted to be able to provide it to them.
Yeah,
and a lot of it's going back and getting it up to today's standards of what the tool has changed to, and to not show some of our blueprint awesomeness that we made like at 3 in the morning. It's just like, just
there's definitely a lot of
it
stuff.
works. Okay, go.
And that's the thing that you guys are going to see. You're going to see things that you may think, we could do this differently now. Just keep in mind that, like Chan says, it was a crazy mad rush to get it done, and also the tools were not the same as they are nowadays. So some things that you can now do we couldn't do at the time. But I think you'll really enjoy it, and the assets are gorgeous. So the modelers did a great job on this.
Let's see. All right, so I'm going to check real quick to see if there's any Infiltrator specific or things we can get with you. When you work with dark environments, is the placement of the background lights an art form, or do you place them in a method?
The like background lights?
Yeah. How do you handle background lights in darker environments like so?
Boy, what do you mean by background?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would just assume like anything that would just be more ambient, or things like you have here. That
so it depends. If you're talking about something like the hallway was a good example. It actually took us a few iterations. So the hallway used to be very dark, but we wanted to keep it moody. And look at the lighting in there. It's actually beautiful lighting, I think. Look at that. You get like the puddles reflecting light. So the idea is basically what we want to do is like we want to put lights where basically in dark environments, because people's eyes are drawn to where light is, and it's a technique we use in game design. If you want to say, okay, you have a whole city and you're going around like a destroyed city, you're like, where do I go? There's like 10 buildings this way with doors and 5 there. How do you lead the player there? And you put light, and they do this in movies as well. You have composition with light, and it pulls the
everything's
viewer's
destroyed
eye.
But that light post.
Exactly, and it's a bit brighter over there, and what's going on,
Yeah.
And so it's the same thing in movies with composition, and it's the same thing in cinematics, which are basically movies, which is, like we want to put it where people's eyes are going to be drawn, basically. So there's going to be an interesting story happening over there, an interesting moment. And so that was kind of the idea there, is to get some nice reflections and some of that. And I think actually before that is actually when he looks around with, here we go. I'll just do that whole sequence. And I remember that hallway, it took us a few iterations to get the lighting right in there. It was pretty tricky. And you can see actually the guy turning on his shield. Did you see that? Yeah, hang on.
Yeah, you can kind of catch it a little bit.
Yes, it was intentional. Yeah. And that's why the guy stops for a second. Yeah, there. And that's why he's like, hey, what's going on over there? It's not because he heard a noise or anything, really.
It wasn't like the...
And so there you go, the lighting.
What was that noise?
Yeah, exactly. So the lighting is great. So, and also the other reason is like, let's motivate the lighting, like if you've got a lamp here and a lamp there, just use that and kind of more natural lighting, and then kind of lighting to pull your eye as well. So just keep in mind, wherever you want the viewer to look, is that where you put the lights, basically. And that was awesome, like flashlight lighting back there. I think that was always like pretty realistic looking.
Real quick,
Oh,
just
yeah, right.
from a just content creation standpoint,
Yeah.
for like a waterfall, could you
Yes.
use the same kind of effects that you had before?
For the explosion,
Yeah,
you could, but
it would be.
if you were super close and you want to look maybe at the bottom misty part of
Yeah.
the waterfall, I think that might work well. But it'd really be for a superhero waterfall.
Yeah.
And I would probably use it. And there's waterfalls in here. You could see these are meant to be looked at from really far away, though.
Yeah.
But
Mostly particle effects.
Yes, these are particle effects right here, right there. So some are particles like this here.
Yeah.
Hang on, translucency. Here we go.
Is that Tim?
Yeah, it's Tim, absolutely.
Looks
If I
like
remember
what-
well, apologies if I get this wrong, but I think it's Tim Alec who worked on these, if I remember well. So here it is. You guys can just load it up and see how it's
I'll
done.
bring it over to the right screen.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
good.
Here we
that's the
go.
trick.
And cascade right there. And,
There
they're
you
meant
go.
to be looked at a fair distance, like something like this, kind of slow mo falling down. And then some of them are meshes as well.
Yeah.
So if you go through there, you'll see the meshes. And you see the lighting changes because we're coming out of one of the post-process volumes, which is basically a box that defines where you want, this kind of tone
It's
mapping
actually
to
kind
happen.
of still beautiful outside of the post.
Yeah, it's like
yeah.
it's like not a scary place anymore.
Yeah,
it's
I
daylight.
feel really
it's-
comfortable
Yeah,
now. This is
exactly.
great.
It's nice and sunny over
Future isn't
here.
so terrible.
Exactly, and because actually, if I remember well, we were not sure what time of day we wanted this to be. And so, so we're going back in another post-process volume that was there, and you'll see, it'll be like, are we going to see daylight again? Yeah, here we
the
go. We have to
vignette
be a
is
bit
so
low.
powerful.
Yeah.
That's great.
And so there's little death blossoms hiding to perform. So
That's a great image right there. Cool.
yeah.
And I think we got one more that we can maybe try to answer. Do you know how it's possible to activate Niagara at this point in the engine? I think you have to go through source, right?
You know,
Like
I actually
in-
haven't used Niagara in a while because I've been on other projects, and Olaf Fisch, who's the main programmer on Niagara, is taking care of that. Now, we use it internally. We have access to it. I haven't used the version of the engine that's distributed to the public, so I wouldn't know how to turn it on, but we can get them that information if we're okay with it. I don't even know if it's really public yet or not.
Follow up with me on the forums, and we'll see kind of the state of it and see.
Olaf would be the guy to ask, so he'll get the answer for you right away. We have it internally accessible, so we use it.
Yeah.
And we test it out. Yeah. It's still early though. We don't use it in production.
Yeah.
Just so you know, it's not in production.
Yeah.
We are probably a few months away from starting to use it in production. So we're still, and also remember that a lot of the projects, they started a while ago, the game projects, so they're already using Cascade because Niagara is pretty recent actually.
Yeah.
And so we don't want to switch halfway. So we may actually do a bit of blending of two types of effects just so we get to put it through its paces.
Yeah.
But just so you guys know, it's not production ready.
Yeah.
So if Olaf does give you the way to enable that, just keep that in mind.
Yeah. He'd be the guy to check out.
It's pretty early.
And if we're gonna drop this into like the forum thread after the fact, I'll follow up and we'll see if we can't get some clarity on it and see if it is available in any build at this point or if it's still kind of hung back. So
Yep.
Cool. I think we're all good for now.
All right.
Francois,
Yeah.
Thanks so much, man, for
Thank
coming
you
and
very
hanging
much
out with
for
us.
coming.
This
Yeah.
has been super.
I hope you guys have
informational.
fun with this Infiltrator demo. I know I've been asked many times when it was going to be available.
Yeah.
So now you guys get to just look at all the materials and all the coolness, and please reuse this stuff and make it make it awesome.
There's so many buildings to use.
I know.
awesome.
Yeah.
Just look at the city; it's gorgeous, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
And you can. And the great thing is, like, you can look at how our awesome modelers and character artists do their magic as well. You
How
can
they've
go in and
approached
look
things.
at, for this high end. This was meant to be high end. And remember, this was also a quick tidbit, real fast. It was meant to be a bigger story. Actually, initially there was going to be a beginning, a middle, and end with kind of like a story go through. Now, because like the time crunch, we always say we're under these demos. We kind of reduced it to like kind of the bare minimum, exciting action moments. But it was going to be a longer story, and Wyatt was, talking to me about that earlier as well. So yeah. Anyway, sometimes you just got to cut some things, right, to make it happen.
Yep.
So the creative process, if you will.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks to all the Game Jam participants and for everybody hanging out in the chat. Again, if you don't get your information over to Alexander, we can't get your stuff. So
PM it over to me on the forums.
He'll be reaching out. We can reach out. We'll make sure we get connected there, and we'll get everything sent out. And you'll get your little paper doll as well.
Yeah. Look at how cute.
It's
that
awesome.
guy is. It's just
I
so
love
cute.
the fact that it comes with the wall. That's
so
great.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the best part. Oh, the wall, the shield.
Yeah. The little
Yeah.
shield. It's so cool. You get so many neat things. And yeah, I have a whole stack of them here in several crates. All you need is one of these little stick glues. That's all I needed was stick glue, and I have a cool,
Dun, dun, dun.
yeah, like knifey infiltrator. He's got his dreads and everything. Real sweet.
You can see that this guy didn't get the same treatment because he's about to get
Yeah.
murdered, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So he's just like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, he's
murdered.
he's
I had a wife and kids.
I had a
and
wife-
well, I
not
broke
essen-
his leg.
Not essential personnel. Okay.
Actually, the box is quite cool, actually.
Yeah,
You
pick
see
that
that?
up.
Yeah.
Look at that.
This little infiltrator branded
Oh,
and
yeah.
everything.
I'd even keep it like that, even without building it.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
That's pretty awesome. That's
nice.
under his mind. Just pop it
Yeah,
open.
thank you,
and spin the ball.
Melissa, for letting us
Ta-da.
borrow these.
So one more reminder too, we've got the UT event this weekend, so definitely play. Check them out on Twitch or on YouTube, depending on where you like to consume your streamed content. And next week's live stream will be from Oculus Connect. I'll be dialing in and chatting with Alex and giving some updates from how the show is going.
That'll
so
be good updates.
it's going to be a lot of fun. So
And I'll just cut him off if I get bored with him too. It'll be a lot of fun having that control.
We're
Click,
just gonna he's just gonna
click.
sit here and play video games all the time. No. So thanks a lot again, everybody. We will see you next time.